I don't know who you are. French novelist. It's sort of long. Can you just read it? Long short story.
Hello.
Hi, how's it going?
Good.
Good.
I finally got my speaker to work.
Oh, good. This is going to be a crazy question. Is today Wednesday or Thursday?
Thursday.
Okay, good.
Both.
I never know. I never know.
Yeah, 'cause tomorrow we have e-learning.
Mm-hmm. I'm glad you mentioned that. I'll go ahead and knock that info out. I probably will, I definitely will email you guys later tonight. Just number one, to remind you that tomorrow is e-learning, because no matter how many times I say it in class, somebody in some of my classes, somebody is always going to try to log into Zoom. So just as a reminder, I'll email you, but I'll also give you the information for what you need to do for this class tomorrow. And I will be posting that on Canvas as well tomorrow or later tonight. But I'll just email you and remind you. Okay. So today you will have a little bit of like a little written reflection about part 3 of In Cold Blood, but we're going to talk about it a little bit first. Um, I wanted to mention, though, let me look back at my plans. Today's the 14th. Okay. I want you guys to finish reading the book by the 27th, which is 2 weeks from yesterday. Part 4 is not as long as part 3.
I
No.
must say I struggled to get through part 3.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Once you get to the end of part 3, that bit flies, because I feel like that's when that's when they're confessing or like saying their version of what happened, and we still don't know all the truth of it. But when Perry's like in the police car and he's talking with the cops about his version of what actually happened, that part's kind of a page turner in my opinion, because the whole time you've been wondering like, what's the deal, what really happened, why did they do it. So let's actually like just start by establishing that at the beginning of the book, we know right off the bat who committed the crime, we know who's been killed, we know who did it. There's no like who done it element of this, but the whole time they're sort of building this question of motivation. Like, why did Dick and Perry? Oh, we just lost somebody. Why did Dick and Perry um, kill the Clutters, and how were they connected to the Clutters? Like, how did they decide on those people to kill? That's a question for you, for any of you. How did they come to even like know about the Clutters? Why did they decide to kill them?
Because the dude that one of the guys was in prison with told them that, hey, it's this dude I used to work for. He has a lot of money in this old rundown town. If you kill him, no one will find out.
Yeah. And really like gave him a lot of details about, what the house looked like, and, all the stuff about like how much Mr. Clutter made and everything. And so he kind of decided that, and not thinking that Willie J, that guy he was with in prison, who worked for, no, not Willie J, sorry, Floyd Wells. The two of them I get mixed up sometimes. Floyd Wells is the guy's name that was in prison with Dick. Um, Not really thinking that like he would be sort of a witness, and like if he ever heard about this, he'd immediately know who had done it, because he heard Dick plan it out a million times. And so we do find out that like the main motivation was just robbery. They knew that Mr. Clutter was really well off. It was kind of not suspicious, but coincidental that Mr. Clutter had just gotten this huge life insurance policy. Um, they were thinking, of course, that he would have thousands and thousands of dollars. in his house. And do you guys remember how much they said they wound up actually taking? How much money?
Oh, I don't remember the exact amount, but I know it wasn't like thousands.
It wasn't thousands. It was like $40 to $50. I think I read somewhere, not in the book, that it was $43. So like $43, and you killed 4 people over $43. It's insane. But they were kind of thinking while they were there in the house, they were like, where are you keeping the rest of your money? And they're like, we don't keep money here. Like most people, you probably keep your money in a bank. If anybody tried to ever rob me like at my home for money, they would be so out of luck. I have like maybe a couple of dollars in coins. Like I don't ever keep cash. And I know that's definitely more of like a modern thing. People did keep
I
cash.
have $1.
You
Like
have
to my name. Just $1 to my name.
$1 to my name.
And then again, that dollar's kind of crusty, so they probably wouldn't take it.
Might not want it. I mean, they could take other things, obviously, but like they're looking for money. They're out of luck.
Oh, wait, never mind. I don't have $1 to my name. I don't.
Spend the dollar I had to my name. I might have like 40 cents in the little pocket beside me in the car for like Starbucks change. So it's kind of a relief to know like what the whole purpose was of them even being there. But at the same time, it almost makes it make less sense because they just picked these people out because Dick had heard of them. They didn't have any like proof that they would have this money. They were just like counting on it. And then they killed them as a result, which like didn't really have to happen. Um, so in the end of part 3, Dick confesses to the police and Perry confesses also to the police. What's the big difference in their version of events? You guys remember? This is one of the things that actually makes Perry confess, because they've clearly made up a lot of stuff. Like they made up the fact that they went to Perry's sister in Fort something. He didn't have a sister that lived there. That was just something they told Dick's parents so that they like let him out for the night, basically. And they made up the thing about like meeting up with prostitutes or whatever. But the big difference in their stories, and this is obviously gonna like probably cause some tension between them, is that what?
And Harry said that Dick killed everyone, and he was just there.
Yeah.
Dick.
Well, opposite. Perry, wait, maybe that is what you said. Perry said that Dick killed. Sorry. Perry's version is that he killed the men and Dick killed the women. Dick's version is that Perry killed all of them. And we definitely get a more detailed version of Perry's story than we do Dick's, but that doesn't mean that it's the truth. They could both be lying. And obviously we'll kind of find out in part 4 what the truth is. But at this point, we don't know. And they're both criminals. They're both untrustworthy. And we as readers, and probably the cops too, like don't really know what to believe and don't really know like who is more responsible, if either of them. Taking that into account, the fact that they have different stories, either Perry is blaming stuff on Dick that he didn't do, or Dick is trying to let Perry take the fall for all of it, even though he participated. So how is that going to maybe affect their relationship and their level of trust in each other?
I think they're like the respect they had for each other and the trust like just went down completely after they got arrested. Because when they were on the run, they were partners in crime. They could trust each other, but now that they're in jail, they're like, I want to get out of this. I don't care if he has to go down.
Yeah. Yeah, he has to go down. It's interesting that you said that because there's a time for each of them when they think to themselves or like they say to a cop or something. Perry says, I can't trust Dick, and like he's the one that I should have silenced. Or maybe that's the thing that Dick says. But they both imply that like I should have killed him when I had a chance because he's going to be the one to rat me out. Dick is worried about like Perry kind of just running his mouth, which Perry does like to talk and he is sort of a storyteller. He likes to have a lot of attention on himself, and you know what he says is not always necessarily true. In fact, the reason that Dick kind of sought Perry out in the beginning, they had both gotten out of prison, and you know they had known each other in prison before, but it's not like they knew each other before they went to prison. Like they were prison friends. Um, the reason that he sought Perry out, thinking this would be the guy to help me rob and potentially kill these people. Do you guys remember why he thought Perry would be the right one?
Because Perry was like I thought he was when I first read it. He was a smooth talker and he could basically get out of it.
Yeah, definitely that has a lot to do with it. He can kind of talk his way out of situations. Um, and maybe this seems like it wouldn't be a good thing for like a partner in crime, but Dick was kind of afraid of Perry because he was sort of known around the prison as being a person who killed this guy. That wasn't what he was in prison for, but he always told people, "I killed this black guy with a bicycle chain." I think he said he like beat him to death with a bicycle chain. And so the whole time everybody was like, "Oh, Perry's like kind of a hard guy. He's killed somebody. He doesn't seem to be remorseful about that." Um, and he kind of like built up a reputation for himself because of that. But we learn in part three that was never true. Perry didn't kill anybody, which kind of throws both of their confessions into a new light too, because it's like, are these the first people he's ever killed? Did he even kill them? He made up this story about having killed this black guy, and that was the whole reason that Dick thought, oh, that's the guy that will help me because he's not going to be bothered by doing something like this. He's done it before. And turns out that that is not true. Um, the cops tell them that, like, once they have them in custody or whatever, which what finally actually like leads the police to them? Do you guys remember? Kind of two things.
They were in Miami, I think,
I think that's right.
around Christmas time,
Mhm.
and they were trying to pick up some girls, I think.
Yes. The like picking up the girls is not really what led them to that, not what led the cops to them, but they weren't super careful. And they were using stolen license plates. And that's kind of what led the police to them. And then the thing that kind of confirms it, I I'm worried that I'm gonna like spoil a little bit of stuff from part four because I can't remember exactly like what all happens in part three versus what all happens in part four. But we do know that there was a print, a shoe print, and they're like from Perry shoes that he mailed to himself. And that is, he sort of like seals his own fate that way. Um, the police tell them the whoever killed them, the killers, made two big mistakes. And the two mistakes were leaving a partial footprint. And do you remember what the other one was? It was,
Taking,
was
taking something from the house?
no, although that's a good one too. They didn't take a whole lot, but they took like what, a radio and like binoculars or something that they could potentially trace. We kind of mentioned this a little bit ago, and the police did kind of like mislead them a little bit, but they were like, "You left a witness alive," and they said like, "Those are your two big mistakes. You left a partial footprint, and you left a witness alive." And so they were thinking like, oh no, somebody saw me. But the witness they were talking about was Floyd Wells. He kind of counted as a witness because he had seen that premeditation that Dick went through. Um, so the last thing I want to ask you guys before I just give you your reflection assignment, we kind of find out something about Dick, or at least Perry says some stuff about Dick. And once again, we don't know what we can believe and what we can't. But there's one thing about Dick that Perry finds disgusting, unnatural, unacceptable, and he just like really looks down on Dick for it and would look down on anyone for it. Does anybody know or anybody remember what that might be? It's pretty bad. He says that Dick has like a predilection for young girls and that he just finds that horrible and unnatural. He says that anybody who is like sexually deviant is gross in his eyes, which like fair enough. Um, and there's one point when they're like trying to pick up girls that Dick starts talking to like a really young girl, and Perry is not okay with it. But then he also mentions, I'm pretty confident in this part, in part 3, that Dick had been like trying to rape Nancy Clutter, and he stopped him. He didn't want him to do that because he thought that was really bad and wrong. Now, he killed 4 people and seems to be kind of okay with that, but raping a girl, not okay, especially a teenage girl. So that was kind of like the thing that, despite all of the horrible things that they've done together, he's like, that's where I draw the line. I cannot stand any kind of like sexual deviance, or like particularly with Dick being interested in young girls. That's gross and not okay. Which, fair enough. Okay, so what you guys are going to do today, then we have plenty of time left. So you should definitely be able to get this finished. You have this part 3 reflection, and obviously use evidence from the book wherever it's appropriate, but you've got five questions to answer. Do you sympathize with one killer over the other? Why or why not? And there's not a right or wrong answer to that. It's totally okay if you say that you sympathize with both of them the same amount, and it's fine if that amount is none. Whose version of events do you believe, and why do you find that person's account more believable? How do we as readers know that Dick and Perry are starting to lose trust in each other? I kind of mentioned some of those things, so hopefully you guys are paying attention, because more or less answered that one for you. How reliable a narrator do you think Capote is? I want you to kind of think about that one, because like we've talked about, this book kind of established the nonfiction novel genre. He spent so much time in this town, even in cells with these killers, finding out as much information as he could and putting it down, hopefully as truthfully as he could. But a lot of people kind of critique that too, because he says so much stuff about like what happened to the Clutters before they died, and he's just kind of taking that from secondhand accounts. And then a lot of people also say, I mean, Truman Capote was widely known as being gay, and he says that like a lot of people say that he had some kind of feelings for Perry, and that's why we hear so much more about Perry. We hear so much more, um, like we hear more of his dialogue, and like more attention is paid to him in the book than is paid to Dick. That's just speculation from other people. I don't know like what to really think about that. Um, but some people think that that sort of bias towards Perry makes him an unreliable narrator. And do you think that things were always going to happen the way they happened, or did things get out of hand for Dick and Perry? What makes you think that? You can kind of take into account, um, the plans that they had already made. They had said that they wouldn't leave any survivors, so it kind of seems like, or like wouldn't leave any witnesses. So it seems like they were definitely ready to kill somebody if they needed to, but at the same time, they were only going in there for a robbery. So what do you think is the truth? Um, and why do you think he's, I guess you can write this rather than tell me, but I'm interested in why you think he seems really shady. Um, he's an interesting guy, Truman Capote. And this is the only book of his that I actually like. I mean, I've only read one other one, but Breakfast at Tiffany's is a book of his, and it got made into a movie starring Audrey Hepburn. And I find the movie really cute and charming. Did not like the book.
Actually, was better than the book, and that's like a first time.
Yeah, like I never say that the movie's better than the book, but with Breakfast at Tiffany's, it is. Okay, so once again, I'll email you guys tonight to let you know what you need to be doing for tomorrow. Um, so don't stress out about that, but don't, we're not meeting on Zoom. So I will set you guys free to work on these questions. And if you want to leave, you may do that. And if so, I hope you have a nice weekend, and I'll see you Monday.